Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. It's summertime in the northern hemisphere, and wow, the heat is seriously getting to me. Allegedly, summers in New York City are much more temperate because we're completely surrounded by water, but it does not feel like that. If you're also suffering from the heat, I hope it's not too tough on you. Even though I'm calling this video a manga haul, there's a big variety of books here, and in some ways, this haul feels like the perfect amalgamation of all of my reading interests. BL manga, BL novels, slice of life, obviously some noragami, Korean manhwa. It's truly a haul of almost all of my favorite things, which just makes me so happy, and I'm really excited to share it all with you today. One last thing that I'm also so excited about. A few weeks ago, I got accepted into my very first affiliate program. I know, I feel so special right now. I became an affiliate of Wikibean, which is a really cool women-owned small business that specializes in BL and LGBTQ manga. How absolutely awesome is that? And how perfectly does that align with everything I care about? If you use my link or my code, you can get 10% off your entire order, which I am so envious of. I want 10% off my order too. They have a pretty big selection of books and gifts, so I hope you'll take advantage of it. Okay, finally on to this month's haul. Normally, I like to sort things by whether or not it's a continuing manga in my collection or a completely new series. But I figured since there are a lot of normal, wordy books here, this time I'm sorting by comics, so manga, manhwa, etc., and then by novels. Well, actually, just kidding. I'm starting off with some non-manga items that are manga-related. A few months ago, the mangatube dynamic duo Laura A. Grace and Marg Reed's Manga hosted a shojo enamel pin Kickstarter. Of course, I had to back the campaign because I love shoujo, I love pins, and I adore Laura and Mark. In addition to the pins, I also added this adorable holographic tote bag to my pledge, and I am just obsessed with it. It is so pretty and eye-catching. I can't wait to go manga shopping soon and take this bag with me. Of course, I am in love with these pins too. Anything sparkly and pink gets a huge pass in my book. A few years ago, I actually also wanted to design and produce my own manga-themed enamel pins, but I never went through with that idea. So seeing two mangatubers I admire bring their dream to life is so inspiring, and I'm so happy that I got to support them. Now onto the manga. I first picked up volume 24 of my beloved Noragami. I already picked up volume 24 in Japanese and read it, but reading it again in English just hits differently. Recently, it was announced that Noragami is entering its final arc. For a long time now, I had a feeling we were entering the final arc just because of where the story was headed and how so many loose ends were getting tied up. But to have it confirmed by the authors themselves, I am in so much agony. I think the manga is going to end on a very strong note, but I also just don't want it to end at all. Of course, this changes nothing for me because I reread Noragami maybe twice a year, every year, but the thought of it ending still makes me a tiny bit sad. Does anyone else ever feel that way? Well, actually, a good ending is probably the best thing a series, an author, or a fan can hope for. So I'm just going to enjoy the ride for as long as I can. After what feels like forever, I finally got another volume of A Man and His Cat by Sakurai Umi. Volume 6 is a little chonky, huh? The opening scene in this volume was amazing. I can't believe we got to see Kanda play on stage. That was so moving. Seeing everyone band together to help Moriyama was so cool. I love how this series went from being a cat manga to a music manga. It is so good. Also, Kanda's smiles are a gift to us all. I have sorely missed them. We are not worthy of this wonderful man. I love seeing him surrounded by so many wonderful people and cats who also appreciate him. One of my favorite lines in this volume was when Moriyama described Kanda as a man who can accept both joy and sadness. I was just so moved. I want to be more like that too. filled with so much love and joy. I really love the direction the manga is now going in. The fact that we're getting more of a plot with slice-of-life moments mixed in has really livened things up. Sakurai touched on this in their afterword, but yeah, how often do we see a manga about music and cats? I love how despite the new direction, this manga is still very much centered on Fukumaru and how he changed Kanda's life. In short, I love this manga so much. It always makes me so happy, and I just can't wait until the next volume. Next, I picked up volume 2 of Run on Your New Legs by Midori Wataru. Isn't this cover absolutely beautiful? It is so pretty. I seriously loved volume 1 of this manga, and I was highly anticipating volume 2. Also, how fitting was it that this volume arrived during Disability Pride Month? That's a win for me. I thought volume 2 was a great follow-up to volume 1. I really love the introduction of Kikuzato's mom, Sawa. She is so sweet. She is an incredible mom. Of course, this manga is mainly about Kikuzato himself and his change in perspective and adapting to his new leg, but I loved getting the parent perspective with this volume. It was so touching. I was also so charmed by all of the track and field members. They were so funny and so energetic. They gave me that classic sports manga team vibe, and I loved it. I cannot wait to see more of them. Like with volume 1, I seriously loved learning more about prostheses. It was so informative. With this volume, we learned a lot about stumps and sockets and how important the fit is, and it was all so fascinating. I immediately pre-ordered volume 3 because, once again, I am so excited to see where this manga will continue to go. Kikuzato is such a great protagonist. I adore him and I want him to succeed in whatever he does. Next, I picked up volume 3 of Black or White by Sachimo. I also love this manga so much. Every volume so far has been such a delight to read, and I do look forward to each new volume I get. I thought the quiz show at the beginning was so much fun. I personally really love quiz shows, and I also really love watching idols and celebrities play games, so that was all very fun for me. My thoughts on this volume are still kind of all over the place though. I think Shin and Shige are so cute when they're in isolation together, like their private moments. When they're at home and loving on each other, it is so sweet. And it's very apparent how much they love and cherish each other. But I am kind of over Shige's insecurities. I know that sounds kind of mean, and I know his insecurity is central to the manga, but I'm just kind of tired of it. It's interesting how these two are so in tune with each other, but this insecurity and possessiveness still won't let up. I really want them to just take care of that and be the healthy couple I know they can be. The last pages in this volume were so good. I was on the edge of my seat. When they revealed why Shige got into acting in the first place, my jaw dropped. Volume 4 is already out, so I'm definitely going to pick that up soon just to see what's going to happen. Overall, I thought Volume 3 was okay. Not my favorite, not as good as Volume 1 or 2, but still interesting in its own way. Shin is still the most precious person. I really hope we can see some growth in Shige too. That's all I can hope for. I also picked up Volume 4 of My Love Mix-Up by Hinekure Wataru and Aruko, another manga that I adore dearly and always look forward to reading more of. The beginning of this volume takes place around Christmas time, and you know, I've actually always wanted to buy a Christmas cake from someone dressed like Santa on the street. I would love to go to Japan during Christmas time so I can eat my fried chicken and cake. Just a random thought I had while reading this volume. Like every other volume so far, Volume 4 was the perfect mix of humor, feels, and sweetness. I was smiling and laughing the entire time. Hashimoto's quest for love, Aida's jokes, Aoki's facial expressions, Ida just trying his best. It was everything I needed and more. Ida is still such a slowpoke, but I'm glad he's slowly but surely figuring his feelings out. Oh, to be young again. I saw the cover for Volume 5 and it has Aida and Hashimoto on it, and it looks so cute. I can't wait to pick it up. Next, I bought Volume 1 of Tokyo Revengers by Wakui Ken. I think this was my first time pre-ordering a manga solely based on hype. What I mostly heard about this manga was 1. How popular the anime was, and 2. How people were upset at Kodansha for not printing it. Once I started this volume, I could not put it down. I thought the premise was so cool. The partnership between Takemichi and Naoto was so fun. I also love that Naoto is a detective too, so we have some real investigative power here. I actually thought Takemichi was pretty annoying at first and truly such a loser, but I love how he's quickly shaping up to be more than just a weak coward. He definitely grew on me more with each chapter, and I really appreciated the benefit of hindsight, like how he first remembered all of his middle school friends as losers like him, but then he realized later on that they were true friends to him. The friendship, loyalty, and bonds between these kids was so top-notch. I do think the art is really nice, but I can't get over how ugly the facial expressions were at times. I don't even mean it negatively, but it's just such a fun contrast between the clean art and these children's fighting faces. It's hard for me to put this into words, but I also thought this manga was a little ridiculous. Not in a completely bad way, but there's this kind of silliness and over-the-topness to it. For example, am I supposed to believe that an elementary school kid got a head tattoo? I feel like I had to suspend my disbelief a lot to make it through some of the scenes in this volume. I hope I'm making sense right now. Overall, I did enjoy this volume a lot despite that. Some moments even made me audibly gasp because I was so shocked. But ultimately, I'm not that hooked onto this manga. What I mean by that is, I'm not in a rush to find out what happens next. I know fans fought the good fight to get this manga printed, but I'm probably going to continue it digitally. Ironic, I know. Next, I bought To Strip the Flesh by Toda Oto. The blurb for this one just sounded so interesting, so I wanted to check it out. I did not realize this was a short story collection though. I really enjoyed all of the stories in this collection, but naturally To Strip the Flesh was by far the strongest one. I empathize so strongly with the protagonist and his struggle between wanting to honor his parents' wishes and honoring himself and living the way that he wanted to. I'm saying this as a cis woman though, so my experience in trying to make my parents happy is obviously different from Chiaki's, but wow, I felt seen. And I also felt really happy for him. His dream where his breasts were being cut off was so magnificent. It was so moving. Again, I am so glad that he can live as himself now. I personally would love to have a conversation like the one he had with his father. I thought the other stories in this collection were all pretty good too. I really liked the one with the grandma and her idol grandson, as expected, as an idol fan myself. I also really wanted to pick at Toda's mind and find out how they came up with these stories, and particularly the image they used, like with Chiaki's dream, and then that freaky watermelon body horror. I was shocked in the best possible way. One of my favorite parts of this whole collection was actually the interview at the end with Motiki. I want to read some of his work too. Overall, a really solid collection of stories. Some were of course stronger than others. My only complaint was that I wish that Viz kept the original cover. It looks way cooler. I also bought a copy of Cafe Latte Rhapsody by Kawaii Toko. I've heard a lot of positive things about this author, and this manga sounded so cute, so of course I had to check it out. This manga was absolute perfection. So sweet, warm, cozy, refreshing. It felt like a burst of air conditioning on a hot day. I felt rejuvenated after reading it. It was just perfect. One thing that really stuck with me about this manga was actually the lattes themselves. One of the main characters, Keito, explained that he loves coffee because of the color cosmic latte. If you're unfamiliar with what that is, this shade of beige is actually the average color of the universe. So not black, blue, purple, or any color in between. The average color of the universe is actually the same color as this beloved coffee drink. It was such a sweet sentiment, and honestly, it made me fall for Keito too. He's so cute. I was also a big fan of the bookstore setting, which is just perfect for a bookworm like me. drinking coffee together under the nighttime sky, rescuing abandoned kittens, shy and awkward bookstore encounters, a couple that genuinely adores each other. There was so much goodness all around. I would recommend this manga to anyone who needs a heartwarming pick-me-up. And I absolutely want to check out more of Kawaii Toko's manga in the near future. Next, I picked up Melting Lover by Yamada Bokuro. I'm telling you, once I got my first taste of Kuma's books, I needed more. This book feels amazing. I talked about this more in my Manga Pride Readathon wrap-up, but wow. This was one of the most bizarre short story collections I have ever read. I still can't forget how unnerving most of these stories were, but they also had the sprinkling of a shock factor that just made them unforgettable to me. For example, I will never meet another blob as charming as the one in the first story, and I genuinely wish I could befriend him too. These aren't the kind of stories I usually gravitate towards, but it's fun for me to really mix things up every now and then, and just read something completely out of my wheelhouse. I'm not sure if this is something I need to reread, but I was so entertained for the most part. To continue this infatuation with Kuma books, I picked up Can an Otaku Like Me Really Be an Idol by Wako Wakoko. Of course, I love me some idols, and I had to check out another idol manga. But wow, what are my thoughts on this manga? I thought the premise of a cute high school geek cross-dressing online and finding out that the cool guy he has a crush on is also a geek was pretty interesting on its own. But I absolutely hated that the only reason Suzuki was trying to become an idol was to repay Hayakawa for forcing himself on him. Like, way to take a very cute premise and then make it really weird and uncomfortable. I do appreciate that the manga made it very clear later on that Hayakawa was completely fine with it, but reading that scene for the first time was just a little much. Again, the story could have been much cleaner and easier to follow along without that weird coercion. Another thing that struck me as really odd was how the cover itself labeled who the top and bottom are in this relationship. It seems like the author really wanted to hammer down that this is a quote-unquote role reversal, with the smaller, cuter, cross-dressing guy acting as the top, and the bigger, tougher guy as the bottom. I have nothing to say for the dynamic itself because it's not my place to do so, but I just think it's really weird to put that on the cover. There's no real reason to unless you really want to highlight that, right? But then, why would you want to highlight that? Am I making sense? All of that aside, I do think the general plot of this manga was really fun. A guy trying to be an idol and his classmate essentially becoming his producer? That alone was really fun. And I love how our cool guy Hayakawa embraced his fanboy side even more. If I ignore the things I found weird about this manga, I actually enjoyed it a lot. It was really nice seeing these two characters have genuine fun on their road to hopeful stardom. So yeah, there were good things about this manga and not good things about this manga. So overall, I thought it was okay. I don't really see myself rereading this, but I did more or less enjoy my run-through. Next, I bought Volume 1 of Box of Light by Erisawa Seiko. Not gonna lie, I only bought this because I thought the cover looked really cool. Who doesn't love the aesthetic of a convenience store in the middle of the night and this freaky one-eyed shadow cat? This volume was such a page-turner. At first, I had no idea what was going on, but in the best possible way. As in, I wanted to keep reading just to figure out what was going on in this mysterious little convenience store. I really love the idea of liminal spaces, and a convenience store wrapped in darkness seems like the perfect manifestation of a liminal space. When I got to chapter 3 and one of the characters started explaining how this convenience store works, I thought the concept was so cool, teetering in the space between life and death. How fascinating is that? But this volume was actually a lot sillier than what I imagined it would be. I kind of thought a story set up like this would be a little moodier and not as humorous. Not complaining, it's just different from what I anticipated. It was still also a bit serious and somber at times, so I guess my one issue with the volume was balancing the tone throughout the manga. I couldn't tell if it wanted to be poignant and soft, or if it wanted to be funny and nonsensical. Overall, I thought this volume was just alright. The concept is still very interesting, and I do think plenty of people would enjoy this manga on its own. It's just not what I expected. Up next, I picked up volumes 1 and 2 of Payback by Samke and Fujo King. I made a separate unboxing video for these books because I actually bought the limited edition of volume 1. On the topic of Payback, thank you for being so patient while I work on that BL recommendations video. It's honestly not that long of a video, but I really do want it to be as good as possible. So I've been spending a lot of time making sure that all of my points are clear and that I picked my favorite series. Basically, that video means a lot to me, and I just want it to be as good as I think I'm capable of. Like I mentioned in my Payback unboxing, I'll be including that manhwa in that recommendation video. It's seriously one of my favorite manhwa right now, and the highlight of my Monday mornings. I also picked up both volumes 1 and 2 of the Unintentional Love Story Side Stories by PB. Only the tiniest bit awkward, but this is another manhwa that absolutely rocked my world, and another one that's supposed to be in that BL recommendation video. If you watched one of my previous manga hauls, you may recall that I got COVID a few months ago. This manhwa single-handedly got me through it. Rest, soup, prayer aside, it was this manhwa. I had so much fun reading it. I'm pretty sure that I raised my blood sugar, formed some cavities, and whatnot, all from this manhwa. It is that good. The beginning of it actually made me so anxious that I honestly did not believe it when other people told me that this was wholesome. How could something so stressful be so wholesome? But I was proven wrong. I enjoyed this manhwa so much that as soon as I finished it, I actually reread it. And I've actually constantly reread it since. On to all of the novels I picked up. As you're probably guessing, yes, it is all danmei. I picked up a couple different versions of my beloved Heaven Official's Blessing by MXTX. First, I have volume 6 through 10 of the Korean edition, volume 1 of the Japanese edition, and volume 3 of the English edition. Oh, my poor heart. Isn't this volume 3 cover the loveliest thing you have ever seen? It is so beautiful. A few days ago, the Heaven Official's Blessing audio drama finally came out. Oh my goodness, it is absolutely amazing. I feel like I waited forever for it. Or, 800 years. I think the team is actually editing it right now because I think episode 1 just got taken down, but don't quote me on that. The manhwa also came back just the other day, so I am living my best life right now. And to somehow top all of that off, MXTX recently let us know that she edited Heaven Official's Blessing and wrote an additional 100,000 words. That's the length of an actual novel. I am so excited to see what changes she made. I somehow also have another copy of volume 1 of the Heaven Official's Blessing manhwa. I honestly have nothing to say for myself right now. I mentioned last time that I was using my extra copies for journaling and crafting, so I guess I have more materials to craft with now. Unless someone wants this copy, not a lot of my friends are into danmei, and the ones who are already have their own copy. Well, I will figure it out. And lastly, from MXTX, I picked up volume 3 of the Scum Villain Self-Saving System. In a previous haul, I had already cracked into volume 2, but recently I decided I'm just going to wait until the final volume comes out later this year, and then read the entire series at once. I don't really mind reading volumes as they come out and just waiting, but honestly I prefer reading an entire story in one sitting. And since it's just one more book, I think I can handle waiting. My plan is to restart volume 1 maybe around the end of September, but I shall keep you updated. Next, I bought volume 1 of 可爱过敏原, or Lovely Allergen by Chu. Before you ask, no, I have not had the time to study Mandarin in a while. Moving along though, this is easily one of my favorite novels of all time. School life, slow burn, slice of life, so much character growth and sweetness, so many delicious recipes. All of the good things in life are in this novel. My brain is actually malfunctioning a little bit trying to come up with the best way to talk about Lovely Allergen. Have you ever liked something so much that your brain just turns to mush? That is me right now. It's not enough to talk about it, I need to scream about this book. It's so apparent that so much care and love went into this story. It's so warm and soft, but it also made me cry. I'm actually listening to the audio drama adaptation right now, and it's absolutely amazing. The casting is perfect. A little while ago, I found out that in-browser translators can translate the subtitles on manhwa, which has made listening to the audio drama so much easier because I can actually understand what they're saying. The audio drama also has the cutest recipes, and I want to try them all out. Next, I picked up volume 1 of the saye manhwa and all 3 volumes of the novel. I know there's a manhwa here, but I figured since I also bought the novels, I would just lump all of them together. I picked this up because I absolutely adore the author Ujo. They wrote one of my favorite novels of all time, A Lucky Coin. I've only read the manhwa adaptation of it on tapas, but it was amazing. It totally changed my life. Recently, I've also been reading another manhwa adaptation of another novel of theirs, Antidote, which is on Bilibili. Antidote could easily become one of my all-time favorite novels too. Uja is just so amazing at stories depicting slice of life, youth, coming of age, breaking free, family issues, and all of that. I'm pretty sure Saye is their most popular novel and also one of the most popular modern danmei novels right now. Everyone in this community has heard of Saye. Originally, I also started with the manhwa adaptation for this one, which can be found on Kwaikan. I basically use Google Translate on my phone to translate all of the panels. It is so time-consuming, but so worth it. Saye is one of the best stories ever. The character development, the growth, exploring one's sexuality, the incredible humor and wit, addressing mental illness, the freedom and liberation that just comes from youth, the beautiful descriptions, the warmth and love, the pacing. Every single thing about this novel is phenomenal. What's so cool is that apparently Ujo even gave permission for someone to translate the novel to English. And I'm like, what? That is pretty cool. This is one of those novels in the modern danmei community that has a very strong reputation and is hyped up a lot. Honestly, it deserves all of the hype it gets. One day I would love to read every single Ujo novel, and I really hope Saye gets picked up by an English publisher one day. This is one that I've been spamming in surveys. You actually can't buy this novel online on JJWXC right now because it's currently locked. So to support it, you would have to buy physical copies or support one of the adaptations. But I feel like this novel could really change people's lives, and I want more of my friends to read it too. Saye is also getting a live-action adaptation, and I am so excited to see it one day. And with that, we are finally at the end of this month's haul. I am just so happy right now. My priority at the moment is to still revamp and clean up my room, but once I do that, I would love to film a collection video for you all. I just want to share all of my favorite things with you. As always, I hope you're safe, happy, and healthy. Bye for now.